Good morning, guys. Hope everybody's doing well. Trump's in bullish mood.
Just a weather update from the CPC. ENSO neutral favored to develop in the next month and persist through the northern hemisphere.
Good morning, Paul.
A 60%
Good
chance
morning.
period between June and August.
Everybody.
How are you doing? You okay?
I'm good.
Excellent.
Start to get some comments from Europe on trade. French OC Trade Minister on the latest Trump tariff proposal says France remains determined to respond with the European Commission and its partners.
Did the euro dollar take a hit today? Someone was saying, I think Zero Hedge was talking about
So that has been
that.
flagged up in other reporting as well. Russia's President Putin is set to meet the US envoy Witkoff. And
Oh yeah, because
we were allegedly
Trump was talking about
tariffs.
tariffs.
Other officials, but according to a Kommersant reporter, Putin will be meeting with US envoy Witkoff.
You got tariffs, and in the big picture, there's a slight Trump's
And more
big
from the French
picture,
official
isn't he?
on trade. He says we will not yield to threats and we will protect our industries.
So people are either fighting or they're not fighting. When it comes to negotiating with the Russians, they're kind of teams of lawyers. We want you to sign this document today, 200-page document. They're about the detail, and every little detail will be about Russia's advantage. So the US administration is about to hit Kremlin-esque bureaucracy with a capital B that is relentless,
Yeah.
brutal Russian negotiators. So
Yeah.
it's going to get sticky.
It's interesting to see. I just heard.
Trump's like, oh, let's stop fighting. End the war. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, it depends how much leverage he has on them. Because if he has enough leverage, the bureaucracy is not going to matter. He'll just tell them.
We'll just find a, yeah.
And it's like, if you don't stop with your bureaucratic tricks, then whatever leverage we have, we'll use.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And we're laying into Europe straight off with the 200% tariff on all wine, champagnes, and alcoholic products coming out of France and the EU.
yeah, that's what I had seen on that tweet from Zero Hedge, and I wasn't.
Yeah.
That couldn't actually affect the euro, could it? I mean, that's not large enough, really. Zero
Yeah.
Hedge was something it was saying
Yeah.
like that's a euro short.
It's just a combative trade chat, basically, isn't it?
Yeah.
And 200% is deeply punishing, isn't it?
Well, who has the 200%? I think they have 150 or 100% on certain products, I believe.
Wow.
And this is like retaliatory. It's like, okay, you do that, we do this.
Well, it said that the EU put 50% tariff on whiskey, and if they don't remove immediately, the US will place a 200% tariff on wines and champagnes and alcohol
Got
products.
it. Okay. Crazy.
We've had a weaker PPI print as well.
You've been trading that?
I was trading that, yeah, because the current expectation for PC was 0.32, but with the PPI factors that are being placed into the PCE, we've had one commentator coming out that they see the PCE at 0.2% month on month. So you can see here at the moment, the forecast was 0.3, either 0.32 for the core, and now it's seen as 0.2 for the core. So that's a drop in inflation expectations.
Okay.
So even though we had the revisions higher, the fact that we've got that, it's not this that moves the markets, it's how this impacts the PCE that moves the markets. And that bit says thumbs up, inflation's falling. The difficulty is we've got Trump coming out every couple of seconds.
Right, so no one cares.
So
about
how
these.
do you really see? I've had some sort of itchy sort of kind of longs, but very kind of taking little bites of the cherry up. I've got another account I've started, so just started that $300 up. So okay, and then let's wait and see for the next section.
Okay, very cool.
Should we get stuck in?
Yeah.
Well, we've covered some of the major bits already. So the first thing is just big picture in terms of inflation. Yesterday we had that CPI miss that came in below market's expectations, just supporting stocks on the release, and then we're straight back to tariff headlines, and it was up down all day. Then we've had the PPI out today, and I've heard from one analyst who's saying that the factors that go into the PCE mean that the PCE is expected to be 0.2% month on month. Let's just check if that's for the core. I think that's right. Oh yeah, here we go. Just seeing if I've got... Anyway, that's what I've heard on the score, but I can't see the detail. Oh, here we go. That Janie Chief FI strategist and PM Labar post, updated core PCE estimate with CPI and PPI in the bag. Looks like it will round down to 0.2%, but only barely. So from what was expected pre the meeting was 0.32%, it's now expected to be 0.23%. So inflation battle is being won. And that's kind of in line with what this kind of broad outlook that sort of clever heads I'm reading are pointing out, using this inflation index. Look, it's inflation is not so much of a problem and it keeps falling lower and lower, and that's sort of confirming that sort of outlook. So in normal trade, this should support upside in the S&P 500, and we've seen
some US President Trump on Truth Social says the US does not have free trade, they have stupid trade. The entire world is ripping them off.
So Donald's up and he's in fighting form this morning. He's up for it today. He's up early, boxing. So buckle up, folks. We're going to be in for the normal ride. Yeah, he woke up and chose violence.
Yeah,
basically.
But it's like a surprising day when he wakes up and chooses peace. So like it's like this is par for the course.
Yeah. It'll be exhausting. You can imagine everyone around him like, oh, what's he doing today? So we'll have to be very, very on our toes for headlines for tariffs. Even though this PPI is broadly supportive of stocks, it's very hard to start saying, oh, this is just dip buying all day long, because tariffs are sort of residually out there. So we just have to be aware of that. Big picture technically, we've got this high from 1st of August, right? Supported once, supported twice, 3 times with a little bounce from that level. It looks like we're trying to find a bit of support there. We're stuck between that resistance above, but I wouldn't be surprised if that finds a little bit of support. We had a bullish day yesterday, but we've had tail action both sides of the candle. And volatility, it's still above 23, but it is moving a little bit lower. So if we can get that underneath that 23 region, then we start to feel more confident with moving to the upside in stocks. The broad, oh, hang on, come here. Sorry, my cat's just being a pain. Right. Now the broad outlook, Leo, is stocks are jittery. There's tariff headlines going all over the place. And until we get some kind of clarity on the US administration's reciprocal tariff policy, and it's really in place, and that's the 2nd of April, I think we're going to have sketchy, dodgy trade until then. Just tariff headlines, headline-driven news, quite difficult to trade, actually.
What was that date again you mentioned? April what?
April the 2nd.
The 2nd.
That's when the US reciprocal administration tariffs are due to come into place, and that's when the temporary exemption from Canada and Mexico come off.
Okay.
So April 2nd is a big day. And so we've got the Fed meeting next week. And what are the Fed going to say? They don't know what's going on. And they've got to project where they see GDP. And how do they factor that in? They can't truth of it. They're going to have to find some kind of way of sounding like they know what they're doing. But
yeah,
they don't, right? So it's tricky. In terms of the calendar for today, we've had the major data point, the jobless data. Let's just check that. That's okay, below market's minimum expectations, tick. Below expectations, tick. So there's no big strain in the jobs market. That's good. If PCE is expected to fall lower, that's good. So that means interest rate can be lowered. That's positive for stocks. We've seen that initial reaction. That should be negative for the dollar, but the dollar's very stretched. So we may not see much reaction in the dollar. Let's go and have a look. I haven't looked at the dollar yet to see what's going on. Right, here we go. Yeah, okay, dollar finding a little
Just
bounce.
Seeing some commentary here from Pantheon Macroeconomics. On US PPI, they say consistent with a core PCE deflator print near the 0.3 to 0.4%.
Well, they sounded a bit higher, didn't they? We'll see. The dollar has just been quite stretched to the downside. So with those tariff news hitting Europe and the Russia...
And just as a reminder, before we get PCE on the 28th of March, we also get import and export prices, which will also help gauge the consensus of the PCE print.
We've started to have a bit of pushback from Russia, who are starting to get into, they're saying the 30-day ceasefire proposal is hasty, needs to be updated to account for Russian interests. So the Kremlin's not up for this ceasefire either, and you had these potential tariffs escalation that's weighing on the euro. That's helping to support the dollar right now. So choppy trade out there. Honestly, there's nothing really clear at the moment. There's neither clear upside bias or a clear downside bias. It's tricky. So we're going to have to be led by the actual order flow and what markets are wanting to do. Looking at the hourly chart, we're seeing that from the Globex Open, we're slightly negative. So we're still biased to the downside in terms of inventory. We've had a little tick higher up to the first standard deviation on the data release, but we've had 2 rejections now of that standard deviation. So markets don't clearly want to take things higher. On the 15-minute chart, we've had buyers trapping sellers here, and that's been supported, but only up so far as the first standard deviation. And we have had sellers coming in here and here. So traders are quite happy to sell up at these levels, and we have quite a lot of sell volume coming up here at the 10:45 UK time. And I'm just checking if that's when some negative, that was when we started to get news, when Kremlin aide Ushakov said the proposed ceasefire is nothing more than a temporary breather for Ukrainian forces, outlined Russia's positions, no need for long-term settlement in talks with US. It's just starting to, the Russian hand is starting to be revealed. And that's going to be tricky. They're not going to be easy. So that's likely just dampening sentiment. So we're caught between tariff sentiment, Russia-Ukraine worsening sentiment, but a little bit of relief about PPI and the how that's going to impact the PCE. So which way are we going to go? I'd say let's look for both opportunities when it presents itself. Inventory is negative at the moment. The rhythm of the market is range bound. So we've moved up to sort of first standard deviation. We're stuck in this range. We're looking like we're going to open outside of value from yesterday, but we will see. We're just right up in that value area from yesterday. So it's a good area for potential shorts. On the weekly chart, we are opening up in the middle of sort of the range that we've had since the start of the week. Key levels to know: sellers here, sellers there. We've got some trap sellers there, buyers coming in from early in the European session, but really quite choppy trade. There's nothing really obvious here. Similarly with the 15-minute chart, we've got buyers and sellers on both sides of the equation. In the near term, buyers have the upper hand, trapping some of these sellers on the softer print. So that's sort of the bias at the moment after the CPI print that we've just had. Important areas are kind of obvious today. We've got this developed value area from yesterday and this developed value area from the day before. They are going to be important areas to break above. Then you've got the way to the upside from 5605. Then we can start looking up to 5625. Get back below, then we're starting to look at the lows of the day from yesterday or the day before. So two-way opportunities that I can see, and range-bound trade, and really got to look to see where US traders want to take it. So I'm kind of on the fence today, Paul, because it's very difficult to know which kind of what side's going to win, and I think it'll largely be dictated by headlines that are still yet to come as we see that develop one way or the other. So quite tricky, really. How about yourself? What are you seeing out there? What's your take on today?
One thing I was observing this morning is, I think it's if you look at probably like the 1 minute chart and scroll out, or you look at the 5 minute chart and scroll way out, you'll notice that we're in a really big, actually, I'm not sure if that captures it. Yeah, not the 1 minute. Try the 15 minute.
Does that catch? Does a 5 catch, George? You want me to go to 15?
15 probably. You'll just notice that we're in this really big range between the 5640 and the 5560.
Yeah.
It's about 100-point range. And we had that CPI the other day pop up above the range around to like the 5670, and then everything just got sucked back into the middle. So yeah, it's just a very good reference point, because the chances are if we get up to the high of this range here, the 5630-40, somewhere up in there, or down to the lows, the 5560, somewhere in there, That seems to be the edges of what we're playing right now. You may need a fairly large catalyst to push us out of that. I mean, we've been in that range since, let's see, 3 days ago we entered it. So just one to, I think once you get towards those extremes, being extra careful around breakouts.
Great observation, Paul, and that caught me out badly at the end of last year. That this day, where was it? It was this one here. It was here, this day here. It was just trying to break out of that level here.
And just got sucked right back in.
It caught me out. So you got the same kind of dynamic going on here with these levels tested, rejected, you know.
Yeah.
Little range, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll see what market gives us today.
All right, let's try and make sense of this. We're just faffing around this daily VWAP, kind of like tariffs are on, sell it, but hang on, PPI is a bit soft to buy it.
Yeah.
That's where we're stuck. Okay, that, sellers, have we trapped anyone? Yeah, we've trapped some folks there. Right, I'll give that another sell, give it a go. Just got some 5-minute guys trapped. Let's see what we can get, if anything. Right, I'm out of that. I don't like the way, oh, hang on. Point control's moved up there. Give it another go. That's sort of providing a little cap for it now, isn't it?
I would still argue we're just kind of like faffing around the range, but you've got the top of the range at the 56.
Yeah, I'm trying to sell from the top of that range, basically. The 5 minutes sort of confirms it. The point of control's moved, just get through the daily VWAP and then we're on.
I guess what I'm saying is you might have a better entry up at the 5602 or 03, depending, or down at the
the
5584 is where I'm seeing all the other touches. So here or up in, there's actually more up in here, but
all right, then let's go for it. See if we can get another one in there.
But I'm really interested in see if we could get a false break of sort of the upside or the downside. So if we push to like the 56056, looking to reverse.
Update out the UK trade Jan 2025 release that's due on March the 14th. Order filled.
There's those extremes, right?
Yeah.
Now it's just
UK ONS now will publish that January trade data on March 28th, pushed back from that March earlier 14th date. They do cite identification of error in trade data.
Right, just trading that as from one end of the range to the other, keep it as that.
Yeah.
We're $500 in. Delta coming in here, look, they're loving it. They want to, well, it's very minor, but.
Will you trade your live accounts on the micros for those, or are you just waiting for better opportunities?
I'm waiting for something clear on the live accounts. Yeah. I don't mind doing that kind of thing on the these accounts, but as soon as it gets to the live accounts, I just don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. 584. March the 13th. So today, rundown, trying to pass another account, and I ended up blowing that account, but putting profit into live accounts. So that's the main mission accomplished. The account I was trying to pass here was the 77, starting very nicely with buyers being trapped up at the top of this high range and developing value area, and then just selling as we went down a few different positions, just taking sells over buyers, getting trapped, sell, sell, sell. And then the mistake of the day for me on this live account, which I'll focus on, was just seeing a little bit of absorption here. You can see the price making higher lows, even as Delta's making lower lows. So read that as absorption and shorts building. My mistake was not seeing when those shorts bailed out. So the absorption failed, and then we had a sharp retracement up. Paul called a perfect turning point for me to get out of the 72.25. I promptly ignored him and was stopped out for the drawdown limit being hit on that. And that's happened with that live account today. But the main trade was on the live accounts, which was a very nice scenario, beautiful setup where we had buyers being trapped on heavy volume and the point of control falling up at the top of the developing value area around that sort of 5593 region. It subsequently moved lower, but it was up there at the 93. So I took that on the micros and just go to live account. You can see that here. So didn't want to have a full standard because of the position size. The stop I'd need to have would be too big. So had 3 micro positions, and just moving up into the point of control. You can just see here around that 93 region, just entered 3 positions. Now, as I was trading it, the point of control moved from 93 to around the 88, 89 region. So all of a sudden, the point of control that was a lovely resistance level suddenly became a potential support. So when I saw that happening partway through the trade, I took 2 positions off, moved the third to break even. And then when I saw this struggle down here, I was concerned that we're going to find support on the daily VWAP. Price moved up, and then Murphy's Law subsequently sold off. But I exited as we went above the daily VWAP.
Back, Ravid of Axios, he notes that Putin says Russia supports the idea of a 30-day ceasefire in the war with Ukraine, but stressed he wants to get clarifications on several issues from the US.
So that closes today's trade for March the 13th.
All right. Well, put some money into live accounts. That's always good.
Yeah.
And, on to passing more demo accounts. We will be back for the last day of the week tomorrow.
Take care, everyone. Bye for now. See you, mate.